Take that.
Gotcha.
There are two things I do in my life where I get into what people might call a flow state. And when I'm in that place, I'm unaware of a lot of things in my surroundings because you're just completely, and I mean completely, focused and in the moment. Because you have to be. Your mind and your senses are all completely focused. You're not worried about, did you respond to that email? You're not worried about, you know, when is my kid's soccer practice? What am I gonna eat later? Do I need to get my oil change? Like, none of that stuff. You're just so hyper-focused. I get this clarity. And it's something that you can't really describe because either you know it because you've been there or you don't know it because you haven't been there.
Having another partner being gone a lot of the time for their job, for their passion, there's always going to be challenges to it. And like I said in the beginning too, especially, I don't think I really totally 100% understood that was part of him and who he is.
I'm just like chasing the next fix. But I love it when I'm in that place. And when you do get into that moment and then you execute really well, whether you're climbing or you're hunting, it's an unbelievable feeling of accomplishment. I've always been a very competitive person. When I was young, I was really focused on winning as much as I could. So I did team sports and I liked to win a lot. And I was really focused on winning, and it really drove me in a lot of ways to be who I am today. And as I've gotten older, I don't compete with anybody but myself anymore, whether it's hunting or climbing, but I like to set my bar really high, and I set really, I think, high goals, and I get really disappointed if I don't achieve those goals.
I probably just stick flip up with it.
It's early March, and we're out at one of my favorite kind of early spring crags climbing today, and I'm trying to climb this route that I have been trying for, I don't know, kind of off and on for like a decade. When I say like I'm trying a route, what I mean is the goal with climbing, at least for me, it's called free climbing. You're trying to climb a route from the ground to the top of the route without falling or having your body weight or the rope take your body weight. So you're just basically trying to climb it from bottom to top without falling. Call that red pointing, sending, if you will, whatever apropos term is in vogue right now.
Remember, breathe. You guys breathe when you climb?
No, it's overrated.
He's an extremely hard worker, dedicated. Interesting to see another guy at his age still pushing really hard and climbing. I mean, a lot of guys his age you see gave up a while ago. The term is trad dads. It's guys that end up just having kids, settling into life, and they eventually just have fun. And a lot of people wouldn't consider this fun. It's not always super fun to come to the same spot, try the same thing over and over again for weeks, months, maybe even years.
Tell me you climbed the Black Cliffs, tell me you climbed the Black Cliffs. So this route is called Silent. It's essentially 2 pitches or rope lengths of rock climbing combined together into one. The first half the route is like moderately easy climbing for me, so it's like big holds on steep rock. When you get to the halfway point, you get a pretty good rest. And then the upper section is just kind of on you from the second you leave the ledge until you clip the chains. And it's just hard move after hard move after hard move.
So what it tends to be is really powerful pulls, a lot of bicep and back.
The individual moves are kind of hard, but not really to do them in isolation. But when you stack them on top of each other without being able to rest, it really starts to like just tax you physically. The real heartbreaker is the actual hardest single move is right near the end. So you do all this climbing and then get to the very, very end, and that's where the hardest move on the whole route is. I've tried that move like 3, 4, 5, 6 different ways. I can do it 6 different ways. It's just a matter of being able to climb quickly enough and efficiently enough to get to that point and still have enough energy to do that last move.
Oh shit, I'm off. Ah. Ah. I tried a new foot sequence and that was silly. God.
I do love hunting and I'm not gonna give it up, but there's a trade-off for that. If I just climbed, I probably would have done this route years ago. Between family and climbing and hunting and then other things, you only have so many free hours and weekends that you can be out trying to do the things you love. I brought my kids out here last time I was here and I had a great time with them. That's really fun and makes it easier to get away, but at some point in the year, I have to start transitioning. And then by the time summer hits, anymore, honestly, I'm pretty much fully focused on getting ready for hunting season. And that involves, doing a lot of like hunting specific, training, just physical fitness training, and shoot my bow as much as I can. This is Brad. Yep. Are you gonna be around in just a little bit? Can I give you a call back? Right now I've got twice a week, got kid soccer practices. My wife has things she does in the evenings, yoga, her things, school functions, work functions. It's hard to fit it all in. So I'll do my best. I really need 2.5 hours to do a proper workout. That's a lot of time. And I don't have that kind of time very often, so it's hard. I have to have a very structured life. And sometimes that doesn't happen. Not a lot of fun. This is what trying to get better looks like. And when you're, for me anyway, I'm a real goal-oriented person. It's I like to try and do things that feel impossible and or feel like I can't do them. And this is well, if you want to do those things, you can't just hope the next time you go out there something's gonna be different. You gotta put in that work and the effort. And it doesn't always work out, but I don't really know what the alternative is, which is not trying. And that just seems at that point I just become a nihilist and fatalist and just stop doing anything, just sit on the couch at home, start eating potato chips, watching reruns of my favorite movies, which honestly sounds like a pretty good time. So maybe that's what I'll do when I can't climb anymore or decide to give up or hunt, who knows. But until then, I'll be in here doing these silly exercises. I'm here today. Okay. Yeah, I'm all for it. Okay, bye. That's pretty normal.
My name is Angie. Brad and I have known each other for 15 years. We were married in 2010. We have 2 girls, Ava, who is 8, and Juniper, who is 4. What really struck me about him was his confidence, his ability to communicate, and we just had an immediate connection.
It is end of July, and we're family camping up here in the mountains for my youngest daughter, June. It's her 4th birthday party we're having up here with some family and friends. But we're, just a few weeks out from archery season, so trips like this, I always bring a bow and a target just so I can shoot. I'm around like lighting candles and making kids dinner and lunch and breakfast and whatnot, so that's what we're out doing.
Brad has always been a very confident person. He's always been very driven. He's always had a personality where you know that he's gonna get his shit done, which is kind of intimidating sometimes, but it's also really, really great to have that, and it forces you to be a better person.
I would consider Brad to have a type A personality. He's very regimented. He's always on time, like obsessively so, and annoyingly so.
Sometimes I want to tell him like, hey, chill, like, wait a second.
And that kind of like type A, really regimented, scheduled personality lends itself well, especially if you're super busy, to follow a training schedule, to get into the gym, to put your time in, to keep improving throughout the years.
He's almost exactly a decade older than I am, and he's still pushing it just as hard as I am. We see each other in the gym, he's training harder than I am a lot of the time too.
This year has been particularly cold and snowy. I've been out here, I want to say this is my like fourth or fifth time out here climbing this year, trying to get fit enough to do this route.
I've been climbing for about 23, 24 years, and climbing is a sport that just takes just a lot of time to even be like moderately good at.
I've been trying this route for a long time, and this is what happens frequently with me, especially out here, is you start to build some level of fitness by coming out here, and then you get to about this time of year, and whether it's like life or work or whatever, I just may not be able to come out here as much as I would like.
Come on, Brad. Come on, Brad. Relax, man. Come on, Brad. Come on, Brad. Good job, man. Come on. Thanks, Brad. Come on, dude. Come on. Come on, Brad. Like I know.
I don't like it. I like it when like it's like yeah, so like you can get like the injury. It's sort of like
Relax. Come on, Brad. Breathe. Come on, Brad. Okay. Come on, Brad. Come on, Brad. Come on. Mother. Come on, Brad.
When he goes out hunting, that's how he like fills himself back up, so he can be a better person, and he can be a wonderful dad and a wonderful husband.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
What?
How was school today?
Good.
Did you have a good day?
Even when he's gone, I know he's always thinking about us. He misses us. What's great about our relationship is he is always thinking ahead. He's always thinking about the next thing, and I tend to live a little bit more in the moment, so we kind of level each other out that way.
Got a pretty nice buck, like real close to us. He's between us and our camp. He can't be more than, I don't know, 400 yards, 500 yards from our camp right now. So we're gonna just watch him till dark, and then hopefully try and find him again in the morning.
I think in a relationship, you need separate things in order to still remain individuals, and hunting is a really, really big part of his personality. It's his passion. It's part of why he loves outdoors. It's part of why he can do the things that he does, is because he's able to get out into those wild places and really explore and be a part of nature. And hunting for him is something that he is incredibly passionate about. He dreams about hunting. He thinks about hunting all the time. I mean, he's always looking for new spaces, new places, and you can tell that it is 100% his passion and part of who he is.
Not seen that buck from last night. It's just the Cinderella story was too good to be true. Oh, we just saw a couple bucks back where I was trying to find that big boy, but they're the wrong deer.
Archery hunting for mule deer is hard enough as it is, because what we're essentially doing here is trying to find a big buck and then watch that big buck until it gets in a position that I think I can sneak in on within bow range. So the odds are not in my favor. Climbing, I feel like you just fail over and over and over again when you're trying to push your limits. And it's really easy to just be like, I can't do this. I'm not gonna work out. I suppose that's similar to bow hunting. All I can do is keep like getting up early, walking up the mountain, and try and find him every day, every night, every morning, and just keep putting in the work. I feel like life is just one giant experience. I like hunting new things in new places where it's totally foreign and I have to go figure it out all by myself.
Just not much activity. Seen maybe 5 small bucks, but don't know what's going on. It's also, I was able to get a weather check up here, and it looks like it's gonna get real surly here tomorrow. And the next day are supposed to be like heavy rain, and then it's gonna get cold. So I'm not sure how that plays into my calculus here on how much time we got to hunt. Probably gonna lose almost like 2 full days of hunting. Lots to think about here. My standards for deer, one of them.
I don't know why I'd feel the need to constantly challenge myself and constantly try things that feel difficult, but I just do.
Got 5 deer out in the wide open. So, see what we got going on. Can't see anything yet. There's one okay buck in there.
It would be a lot easier to come out here and just be happy trying to kill any deer that you see out here. But I'm just a lot less interested in that because it doesn't feel hard enough. And that's part of the appeal of this, of trying to kill a big deer, is like they're just hard to find, let alone sneak in at bow range. I mean, it is one of the hardest things to do in hunting.
I don't know how these deer disappeared. We had a whole bunch of deer out in the wide open. There's a buck over here. There's a buck's above us. Like skirted across out of sight. Gotta try and find him again. Mule deer hunting. So frustrating. You know, I really don't know what happened. Other than we had a great start to the morning in terms of seeing deer. And something, wasn't us, spooked the deer. And they kind of trotted out of this nice basin they were in, like above us. And then, I don't know where they went. There was one decent buck in there. And then there was another buck, same basin, that somehow, in a wide open area with almost no cover, managed to also disappear. And we've just circled around, thinking maybe he bedded down in this little subalpine fir patch. And if he's in there, he's really good at hiding, because I have just picked it apart. He could still be in there. Definitely hit a point of frustration right now. I just think things aren't working out in my favor yet. I have this like lingering feeling that those deer we blew out of here on, that was the first day, or that I blew out of here, might have been, that big buck might have been with him and I just never saw him. You know, they could very well come back, you know, but it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 days. We got time. Just annoyed at myself, that's all. We got a little baby buck bedded in a phenomenal position. Found him out walking around middle of the day, watched him bed down. And it is kind of one of those positions where you just kind of dream about a buck bedding. It's that good. Fortunately for him, he's just a little thing, and much as I want to kill a deer, I don't think I can't get myself to, at this point in time, shoot a smaller buck. Just can't. Even though it's stormy out today, it's supposed to be really wet tomorrow, and then it's gonna get cold, which so our like window of time is just like shrinking down, you know, that I have to hunt. Even with all that, I still am gonna hold out hope that I'm gonna have a better opportunity on something a little bit bigger. A younger Brad would have gone in there and killed that deer and not thought twice about it. But I'm not that young anymore. We survived the 2-day rainstorm and are awarded with beautiful clear skies. So at least today we get to try and find deer. And that's about all you could ask for. Beautiful morning. But I need to get to my glassing spot, so I can't talk to you anymore. Bunch of deer on this hillside, which is what I was hoping would be the case and what I expect to be the case after a big old rainstorm. I'm gonna try and get some eyeballs on them. That's a good buck. Across the way. Nice buck. That big buck bedded down in a spot where I can actually get to him, which is remarkable. It's a good sign. The only thing that concerns me is I don't know if he's going to stay in that bed, because sometimes deer will bed down early, and then if the sun hits them too much, they're going to get up and walk to a shadier spot. So we're just going to sit here and watch for a little bit longer. But if he stays there, I've got a fighting chance of getting to him. Only downside is there's a smaller buck bedded above him. It's kind of watching uphill. Call those the sentinels. Those big bucks are smart like that. They like to have like a smaller buck around who can watch a different direction. They don't get big like that by being dumb. Well, I'm gonna start the long journey to get over there. It's gonna take a whole long time for me to get over there. Because I have to go down to stay out of sight and avoid other deer that are bedded down. Gotta go down and then come all the way back up, hit the ridge, then go all the way around. So it's gonna take, I guess it's an hour and a half, 2 hours for me to get over there. The buck I'd really like to kill is that bigger buck up high. So he's where I'm gonna go first. And if all goes right, I'm gonna shoot him, and if I mess something up or something, he moves. I've got another buck down lower here, who's bedded down, so that's my plan B. So we got 2 bucks bedded. We know where they're at, and they're in seemingly somewhat stockable position. So now it's on me to just make it happen. I'll shiver to death up here. Well, good news, bad news. I blew it on the big buck, had him at 48 yards. And it's a long story, I'm not going to bore you with it, but let's just say that I was sneaking on him while he was feeding and had him, thought I knocked an arrow, thought I to shoot him, and he must have caught some movement and just took off. Because he's a big buck. And while I was wallowing in self-pity, decided to come back up to this ridge and look in this basin, and who did I find but the buck from, I'm almost certain, the night before the opener, which was 4 or 5 days ago, who's bedded down in this basin in some subalpine firs. I mean, that's the buck I wanted to kill anyway. So, I don't know what you call that, twist of fate, luck, divine intervention, what it is, but now I just need to get down in there and try not to mess this one up like I did the last one. Let's go. don't like being outfoxed. But I am being outfoxed right now. I really don't like it. So I can't believe this, but this big buck that I've been watching, this big giant bodied deer that I got the 48 yards on yesterday, and he just caught me when I was knocking an arrow. Like I almost shot him, and he spooked and ran away, and I thought it'll be several days before he comes back, if at all. He's back this morning, and I can see him right now, and I honestly can't believe it. Seeing him and killing him today are two different things, but it's unreal that he's back. I'm gonna make a run at that buck. Normally I would wait for him to lay down, but I'm gonna do something different today. While it's still cold and early and he's still out feeding, I'm gonna bail off this and come up to the bottom of that next basin and see if I can get on him while he's still on his feet, and then watch him bed from closer. Something I normally wouldn't do, but I know he's gonna go out of sight at some point. And so I'd rather try and get over to him while he's still on his feet before he lays down. Taking some risks, but we've been here a week and I got like today and tomorrow to hunt, that's it. So it's time to start rolling the dice here. I messed up on that stalk on that deer again. I have it at 40 yards. I thought it's just like long. I could explain why, but it doesn't matter. I had him 40 yards and then everything was going perfect. And then I thought he was further down. I made one half step and he caught my movement and was gone. I'm tired. I'm just physically, mentally worn out. I need a break, man. This mountain, these deer. So we're gonna pack up and get out of here. And I got lots of hunts left this year. My oldest daughter's got a soccer game this weekend, and I miss my kids, miss my wife. My wife's been holding down the fort like a champ. So I need to get home,
be there for my kid's soccer game, and I got like 6 days before I go on another hunt. So gonna try and be a good dad every once in a while.
At some point in time, Brad just got this climbing bug, and I'm sure it's similar with hunting, where he said, okay, like I have all these other commitments, but this is going to be a priority. I have to make this a priority. And so how am I going to make that happen?
Rock climbing, at least the way I like to do it at that level. Like, I don't know how long my body can do it. I know a lot of guys who climb will, like, at a high level, well into their early 60s. So it's certainly possible, but I think it kind of has to become the only thing you do at that point. And I'm not giving up hunting.
It took a while, I think, for me to totally understand what it is and what he loves so much about it. But then starting this business and seeing him on film and seeing him out there hunting, like, you can see his passion and his drive, and it's just like, it's so cool to see that, even though it is really, really challenging and hard. You know, being home with 2 kids and helping with the business and taking care of the house and all of that stuff.
We're up here in Canada, hunting with our friend Ryan Harder. I'll look for a giant buck in this kind of plains country up here. It's beautiful out, nice morning, no wind, waterfowl everywhere. Pretty excited.
I'm not like, yep, I've been there, I'm done. I've shot up, you know, even with like hunting, it's like, I've killed some really nice deer. But it doesn't mean I'm like, well, I got one, I'm done now. It's like, no, I need the next one and the next one and the next one.
So he's just off the top, maybe 15 yards.
Or with climbing, it's not like you do one hard route and you're like, well, I've done that, I guess I'm gonna quit. Nope. It's always the next one and the next one. I've spent a lot of time this year trying to kill a big deer with my bow, and I really thought it was going to happen in Wyoming, and it didn't. I was very disappointed in myself, and it kind of felt like just a very anticlimactic end to it.
We're just bumping along this river, peeking into these coulees, looking for deer. Found a bunch of does, handful of small bucks, one decent buck. Nothing crazy just yet. There's gonna be a big buck in here. Ryan guaranteed me. He signed his name on the dotted line. There'd be a giant in here somewhere, and that it would be easy to shoot too. So it's guaranteed. Isn't that right?
Easy. Mule deer are super easy to hunt.
Super easy.
Especially the big ones.
Easy to find.
Yeah.
Even easier to kill.
Yeah. It's definitely not easy to kill a big deer out here. They do exist, but you need to be patient, you need to put in the time, and you need to be able to pass up those mediocre bucks.
Well, we are doing a midday hunt here. We're gonna walk these rolling grass hills, see if we can't find something bedded out here. So put some boots on the ground. This place is
kind of like a foreign yet familiar landscape. But it's really interesting. Like these deer do things that I'm not really used to in terms of their behavior.
If I'm being honest, I was pretty down on the whole situation. And so I know we're coming up here and we've seen a lot of deer, a lot of really nice deer. And yet I didn't really want to shoot any of them.
He's not that big, unfortunately. Just a small little buck.
Finding a big deer is hard, let alone killing a big deer. And so your chances of success just become like narrower and narrower when you set your expectations that high.
Got a buck just bedded out in the wide open. Off in the distance. Yeah, I can't quite tell how big he is. He's sideways there.
He had a decent angle when I whistled at you there. He just looked like a good deer.
All narrow.
Yeah. Take him.
That's where I killed that drop tine buck. That's right there. The 3 drop tines? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this looks just like, yeah, you could just see him kind of like pop it up if you do that much.
Generally, we like to get on glassing points, and if we're fortunate enough to find a mature deer, we'll put them to bed is the term we use, and we wait for wind.
Glassing this big flat down here, and there's kind of deer everywhere. We're doing the long distance glassing thing here, so in the early light we can tell they're bucks, but can't tell how big they are. You can just kind of see like antlers poking out above their heads. And they're all kind of moving back to the river. So they kind of, looks like they all fed up out of the river. And now they're all kind of working their way back towards the river. So we're gonna just look, see if we can find a banger. One of those deer out there above that tree just bedded down. That's a big bodied deer, that's an old deer. He seems like he's got a decent frame. Is there a coulee right there, or is that just a little depression?
From where they're at, there's not a coulee though.
Once the wind picks up, it gives us the opportunity to get close, cover our sound, movement, smell. Those are the key points to getting in on these old deer. They always position themselves to their advantage.
This coulee is not that long, maybe 3/4 of a mile at most. It's just full of deer though. And so we keep getting to where we can see them peeking in. We've seen 3 bucks so far, a handful of does, maybe 12, 15 does. And they've got these beds, it's crazy. It looks like they took a shovel and excavated out the bed in the hillsides. So far they're all on the far hillside, which presumably is to get out of the wind since the wind's blowing that way. Apparently they're real sensitive to the wind around here. I think the similarities between like these plains bucks and the mountain bucks is that they know how the hell to hide really well and stay away from people and stay out of sight. You know, you think you can see everything up here. It's kind of like when you're up in the mountains and you think you can see a whole mountainside. You're like, I can see every deer in this mountainside. And then all of a sudden a deer pops up and you're like, where the hell was that one?
I love hunting these mule deer because it is challenging. The archery hunt is what I prefer because you're on the ground with them, you're at eye level, you got to get in close. These deer are not stupid. They put themselves in a situation where you need to be on your best game to kill these deer.
Just spotted a big buck in some brush. Trying to go crawling. Okay, we got a really good buck bedded over here in some brush. And there's really only one option that we see for getting in on him. It's not phenomenal, but it's what we got. So I'm gonna work my way on the other side of this coulee and just sit and wait for him to pop up. But he's a beautiful buck. I'd be really happy to get an arrow in him. So get over there and hope things work out. I blew that and made a really silly mistake. I thought he was, we got maybe 50 yards from him, and we were just sitting there in position, and I sat up to try and see if I could find him in the brush, and when I did that, he was staring right my direction. And then he blew out, and he sauntered over towards the river. So who knows, maybe we see him in a day or two. Well, the good news is we're still seeing lots of deer. I've seen 4 bucks in this drainage, 2 of them like decent bucks, one like tall, great tine length, but just narrow. Not sure I want to kill a buck quite like that yet after seeing that bigger buck. But we'll keep looking, we got time here. We're seeing lots of deer. Find something bigger, hopefully. We were gonna go straight back to where we were at yesterday because we saw a lot of nice deer there. And I just feel like there's gotta be another big deer hiding in there. I saw a nice one towards dark, way off in the distance. But this rain, just don't know what we can actually do. So we're trying to figure that out right now.
Yeah, look at them beside each other. That one's noticeably bigger.
He is. I wonder if they'll stay there. It's not gonna... Nice cloudy day.
That's what I was thinking too. I bet you they, as long as the wind doesn't get too crazy, they probably will.
And the problem is there's 2 deer bedded to the left of them. I think your approach, I guess. All right, marked.
So we saw a good buck off in the distance this morning, and we're just going to try and get a closer look at him. He looked very, very similar to the buck that we blew out yesterday, or that I blew out. Taking ownership for my actions.
We're a team.
It's the first sign of maturity, is what I've been told. But yeah, there's a buck. Looked really nice. But he's bedded on this open knob.
Just chip our way out.
So we're gonna go try and get in and see if we can't determine whether or not he's the buck we want.
After feeling like bummed out about not being able to get eyes on that big deer because there's so many deer we couldn't see down the bottom of that drainage, we just popped over on the way back to the truck to check out the bed where we saw that buck yesterday, and we blew him out, and there's a nice buck in there. Could be the exact same buck, right back, the exact same spot we saw him yesterday. So it could be the same deer, it could be a different deer, but we're gonna go try and get a good look at him.
He caught my movement yesterday because the way he beds, he's looking like right at where I'm coming up over the rise. And so I was just concerned the whole time about him seeing me again. I just really wanted to make it count when I had the opportunity because he gave us a second chance. I'm not so sure he would have given us a third chance. That's exactly what happened in Wyoming, right? That big buck gave me a second chance, and I didn't make it happen. All that was running through my head, man. It's like, you know, this is like Groundhog Day all over again. Just make sure you make it count in the moment and just focus.
To actually know you're 50 yards from that deer or an animal of that caliber is super special. You're on the edge of your seat the whole time, and you're just hoping that Brad can make the shot.
I did the exact same thing I did the day before. I went to the exact same spot I did the day before. The problem with where I was sneaking in on him from, which was really the only option, is that you're skylined and exposed the second you kind of sit up to shoot. And so I knew everything had to be perfect and I had to not blow it. The minute I saw him stand up, I just timed everything, honestly, perfectly. The cards don't always fall in your favor, and you need the deer to do what he's gonna do, and you gotta do your job. And in that moment, I was just hyper-focused on executing. I drew back right before he came out, and he stepped out, and he was broadside, and I knew I'd have just a small window, probably a few seconds before he decided to turn and walk away or go further downhill.
Can't believe it. It's unreal. I can't believe it worked out. I was like, oh my God, same buck as yesterday.
100%.
In climbing, runout is a term that means you're way above your last piece of protection. So if you fall, there are severe consequences. In some ways, it's also a metaphor for the way I like to live my life, because if you're not constantly pushing it to the edge, you really don't know what you're capable of.
What, you think I was done?